G'day all, it's Colin from PC TLC and thanks for joining me. In this video I'm going to be showing you my Arch install. Yes, I installed Arch, managed to achieve it, but I needed a fair bit of help to get it done. So we're gonna have a look at that and have a look at the things and the places that I went to. And I thought the most appropriate place to start was the Arch Wiki. So Arch Wiki installation guide all seems to be fairly simple at this point. So we have our pre-installation here, download the ISO and so forth. So I'm okay with all that. And then we get to the boot the live environment. Let me have a look at my installation that I did here. I took down some notes as I did it. I failed 4 times or 5 times on the Sunday after, well, that would have been American time Saturday night, which was the Big Daddy Linux live, but that's my Sunday morning. So I spent most of the Sunday doing that. And unfortunately, my Toshiba laptop is an annoying laptop. To say the least. So I had a lot of trouble with that and it wasn't installing. So I thought I can't just keep doing the same things over and over and failing. But the install seemed to go okay. I did a complete install and the first boot actually booted. Now I've had some distros in the past, whereas they have installed, on the first boot, they boot up, and then when I shut down and restart, anything after the first boot, I get a message from the computer saying, please put an OS in. So it's not even recognizing that there's even an operating system on there. So I've had that with a couple of distros, and I can't think of the name of those distros off the top of my head. It's just happened on the 1 or 2 occasions in the past. Now this happened with Arch Linux as well, and I can't remember whether those distros were Arch based or not. That I'm unsure of. Having done that and failing 4 or 5 times, I did a complete install with the base and then I rebooted the first time, installed the desktop environment and all that sort of stuff, only to find that the computer wasn't recognizing any operating system at all. So 4 or 5 times failed, about 6 hours or so, getting very frustrated. So I thought, cannot continue that way. Let's put it on this spare desktop I've got here. And this is what I'm running now. That's when everything sort of took place a bit more. So what I ended up doing is, once I get past installing the base, I then shut down and start. And once I shut down and start, I'll know whether it's actually booting up into the TTY or the terminal to log in as root, or it doesn't. So what I did here is I did a Wi-Fi menu, which was recommended. And if we have a look at the Arch Wiki, it tells you here. We'll just check out a couple of things. I can't go through the whole thing. It'll take me forever. So connect to the wireless. So connect to the internet. And you jump to these places. And this is where I get very confused with the Arch Wiki. So open link in new tab. And then it's got the menu here of what you want to look for. Now I think I was looking for wireless. So IW and wireless tools. So here you've got some information here, whereas you need the WPA supplicant and wireless tools. And I think it's also dialog where you can use the Wi-Fi menu. Now the Wi-Fi menu works out of the box. So if you just type a Wi-Fi menu, for me, well, actually it didn't work on my Lenovo. Didn't pick up a wireless driver, so I don't know why that is, because the tools you'd have to think are the same in the same ISO, but on the desktop The Wi-Fi menu worked. On the laptop it also worked, but on the Lenovo it didn't work. So that's really strange. So it must depend on the type of wireless driver that you have. So there's a lot of information here regarding that. It's just very hard to filter through what you need out of all this. I tried my best to go through all this, but I really did need another installation guide to do this, because I was really at the end of the day getting nowhere. So my friend Zeb gave me a link to this one here, and I was following along to this one here, which is a more simplified approach to installing Arch from scratch. And this may work for some, may not work for some, because I think the Arch Wiki, it's confusing, but it probably has to be, because they have to cater or accommodate for so many variables that could, or possibilities that could be on different laptops and different hardware and so forth. So I suppose that's why it's so complicated, but it's just that the installation steps are just not simplified like other people do here. And I suppose having a third party to show you through some of these steps is good. I know how to do the disks and all that. That's not a problem at all. But then I followed some guides, a guide from learnlinux.tv. That's Jay. Can't remember his second name. I've been subscribed to him before he was learnlinux.tv. So I looked him up, and I know because I seen his Arch Linux come up, that's a month ago. So I remember that he did upload these. So part 1, 2 and 3. I think I got up to 4. I didn't go any further than 4 because I didn't need to. But his instructions are quite good, and then I sort of mixed that up with a combination of Arch Wiki, the Tech Mint guide, and also this one here. Now this gentleman was very helpful as well, so I recommend his website as well, Open Source Home Automation. So I followed his, and it was worked out fairly well. So when I got stuck, then I was back onto the videos to help me out. So I did struggle with the Arch Wiki. It's got the information there. I just have trouble processing it and filtering through all this stuff. Now, when you do the installation and you understand some of this a little bit better, and I'm trying to find... let me see. So connect to the internet. It's got here, ensure your network interface, which is normally blue, but I've already clicked on that link. And if you open that link in a new tab, and then you scroll down, you'll find this information here. Now, Wi-Fi menu is under one of the command line interface tools. So that was one that I used. And on another link, it tells you that you can use WPA supplicant and I think it's wireless-tools or something. So there's information where you're jumping backwards and forwards on this Arch Wiki. Now, the people who make these guides obviously are very technically minded, a lot more technically minded than what I am, because they have the ability to filter out all this stuff and put it into simple terms, whereas somebody can go through a simple procedure and install Arch. So, you got to thank these guys for being able to filter all that, because I'm just struggling here. I don't understand the way the lingo is put on the Arch Wiki. I can follow some of these things where they're telling you make a small script and blah blah blah, but then they got all this other jargon here that I just have trouble filtering through. So yes, I needed the help from quite a few people. So I tried to use the wiki as much as I could. And I understand some of this stuff where the mount points and all that is fine. I got no problem with all of that. Wireless was a little bit troublesome until I found where somebody said just type in Wi-Fi-menu, and that's where the Wi-Fi just came up and I was able to connect no problem. So then I realized I didn't have Wi-Fi after the install and then I didn't install, because some people tell you install WPA supplicant and all that, but there's another link there that tells you about that. So that's where you get lost with all that information. I'm probably confusing everyone with this video, to be honest. Okay, so having said all that, yes, I definitely needed help. I couldn't have done it on my own. I needed all that help. So this is my findings, and this is now all this stuff from here onwards is recommendations, Gdisk, Fdisk. If you're using GPT partition type, then you use Gdisk, but I use CGdisk, which was recommended in one of those videos. So this is how you create the disk, but then I did another one where it had a little bit of a different scenario than going through this. So I did do this to start with, and then I went through the other one, which is, so the interface I was using was, I think, similar to this one. Where are we? Yes, it was this type here, where you got the menu at the bottom and so forth. So CGdisk did that. So there's a couple of different ways of doing it. You've got Fdisk as well, but Gdisk as well. I think Gdisk is slightly different to CGdisk, I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. So I went through that and then mount the partitions. Check mount. If you want to check whether your partitions are mount, just DF for that. You can do the grep as well for the SDA. Customize install. So that was the first one. Packstrap /mount base space base -devel. And then generate your FS tab. Copy to FS tab, which is this one here. Now, I've found that some of the places you go to and the videos and some of the guides on the websites I showed you, they all do things slightly differently. I sort of tend to stick with one, watch a video, go through it, try and understand it, and then maybe I didn't try to do too many things. Try to stick with the Arch Wiki and at least one video. I think it was the home automation is the one I mainly stuck with. And then I went through all of this stuff here. So that's all my findings, and then I've done all the post-install stuff as well, installing Yay. So that's where I'm up to. Also installed my video card, which is on this one is an AMD/ATI. And that's how you install if it's an Intel and if it's an NVIDIA. And I think there's a different one for NVIDIA Optimus, which is what my Toshiba laptop is. So that's where I'm at with that. Now, the one thing I don't understand is I've done a couple of videos with Antec Designs Arch Linux, and that installs on the Toshiba, and that boots no problem. So I don't know what the difference is with Antec Designs install as opposed to my manual Arch install. And it's got to be something to do with the EFI boot. Now, here's boots on my Toshiba, but Arch Linux is not even discovered. So I don't know what the differences are there. All I know is on the desktop here it works, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's get a fresh desktop here and have a look at where I'm at. So what I've done here is under my home I've made this script here, which is a little bash script, and it was suggested to make sudo. I found this on a random search on Google, and I didn't save the link, which I normally do. So I just made that as a script, just a text document, and then give it the permissions to allow executing, I think it was, and then just copied and pasted all that stuff into there. And then what I can do there is when I open my terminal, I can just go sudo ./w sudo, and then whatever I want to open as root, which would be say Nautilus. It'll ask for my password, and I can run Nautilus as root. Now I looked up all this stuff because I had to, because I was running under Wayland. Currently I'm not under Wayland, otherwise I wouldn't be able to record. I did install Green Recorder, but that also wasn't launching, so I don't know where there's an issue there, because I have used it before. Don't know if it was in an Ubuntu based maybe, but it's not working in the Arch base. So I'm probably missing some dependencies. I'll probably have to look that up. And I cannot remember why I decided to do that. I was copying some wallpapers over, so, and I wanted to if you do that and you get to this, just Control C to clear that off. So I was copying some wallpapers over, and I wanted to put them in, instead of having wallpapers in the pictures, and when you change background and you go to your background and you go to pictures, I don't like having pictures spread all over the place. I like them to be in a folder. So I just thought I would copy some pictures that I got into, I did that, I copied them in terminal anyway, but and I think I needed root access for something else, and I think and this is the problem I was having. I was thinking of Synaptic, and I'm so used to having Synaptic in GNOME, but I'm on Arch base, and now when I was in Wayland, I know Synaptic doesn't work. There was a little fix for that AJ Ryzek had for that, and then I forgot that I was on an Arch based and Synaptic doesn't work, because you needed to put a little host file, which is what this wsudo was, to because I was looking for startup applications, and there's no startup applications in here where you can just put a command in that starts on boot, because that little host one is the one that I needed to run things as root. But as it turns out, Synaptic doesn't work in here anyway. I was getting confused as to what base I was on, so I installed Pamac instead. And software add remove is Pamac, and that's that there. And then you can also go to preferences, and you can enable the AUR, but currently I'm using Yay. So Yay, you don't have to run as root, you just go Yay, and if I was to install something, say Audacity, Yay capital S, the same as Pacman, Audacity, and put in my password, and that'll get that. Let's just say no for that one, because Audacity is probably in Pacman anyway, so it's been sudo pacman capital S Audacity. Let's have a look at that, and there it is there. So I won't install that yet, but that's a Yay I used for I think of Zoom. No, I haven't installed Zoom yet. So that's what I installed Yay for, which used to be Yowit. It's now Yay capital S and Zoom. Yeah, that's a double O, not a double M. And there's Zoom video conferencing there. I think I'll go none on that one. Well, actually, I didn't want to press none on that one. I don't know why I did that. I just wanted to show you that if I open another terminal, you can, probably the best thing to do. Did I open another terminal? No, because it's running. So we open a new window, and if you go Yay dash capital S little s and zoom, it'll search for zoom, and that's how you search. And then you'll find Zoom here, video conferencing. And I know Zoom is the right command anyway. That's the command there, Zoom, not a problem. And that's installing. I installed some backgrounds, so let's have a quick look. I've got a couple of really nice backgrounds there, so we'll do, I think, this one here. Let's do that. And that's from Carl Schneider. He's got some really nice backgrounds, Carl Schneider, and I think you'll find that Carl Schneider is always linked under my videos anyway. So by default, I installed Gnome Tweaks. So we've got tweaks there. I haven't messed with any extensions yet, but they've been pulled in under the default Gnome, I would say. Appearance. During the install, I installed Arc. So you got Arc there, Arc Dark, Arc Darker, which gives you dark on the side here. So that's Arc Dark. Not sure if I only installed add waiter icons. I haven't installed any other icons. We could have a look through pacman. I don't know what's, oh yeah, there we go. So it's working. It just took a little while. So if I open pacman, I don't know if I can do that while that's installing. Add remove, and we'll have a look for Papyrus, which is my favorite at the moment. Papyrus icon theme, install that. It's pending because the other one's installing. Oh, that's done now. Oh no, I've got to apply. And we'll look for Zoom, and there's Zoom, just see if it starts up. There we go, so that's not a problem. So that's my Zoom installed. Apply that for the icons. Now, I could install a shell. I'll just go with the default black Gnome black shell, that's the black that comes with the Gnome. I'm okay with that at the moment. I've got no problem with that. So that's how I installed Yay. If you need to know how to install that, I can probably put that in the show notes as well. So that was my experience in installing Arch. If anything I've learned out of all this is how much work goes into the distros that are made, and I always appreciate the distros that people make anyway, and that's why I make videos to highlight them, but I'm only a small channel. So I'm 700 plus now, which is really appreciated. But yes, the amount of work that goes into the distros that people make, there's Eric Dubois does some really great work. I've installed a couple of his, and that gives me a bit more insight as to how his script works, because his scripts are on GitHub, I think it is. I think it's GitHub or Git or whatever you call it, and that gives me a bit more insight as to how his scripts work, installing the desktops and so forth. So yeah, doing it manually is, if you have it like I've got here. Now, if I was to install this again, oh, did I close my cherry tree? I don't remember doing that. So if I was to install again, it would probably take me less than a half an hour, because I know that everything I've done here works. That's why I carefully wrote it all down. So if I feel the need to do it again, which I may do, I might even try doing a legacy install on the Toshiba, because I believe it's the EFI that's the issue on there. So I may even do that, put myself through a bit more pain. If it's not hurting, it's not Linux. So I'm not sure what's going on with this downloading. It must be a slow download somewhere. So just to go through some of the applications here, I've installed Gnome Mpv. The standard videos that comes with this would not play. It might play in X, but it wasn't playing under Wayland. That's probably what the problem was there. Mpv Media Player and Gnome Mpv. And most of the other things pretty much come default with GNOME anyway. All of this stuff here. I think I installed GNOME everything, and then I installed the tweaks. So yes, and I'm recording on here, so I did go through, I did look up codecs, because I wasn't sure whether codecs were installed or how that works, and I'm pretty sure I run some commands, but it was telling me that they're installed. I'm pretty sure that's how it went, so I'm not sure if that's installed in Arch by default. I'm not really sure about that, but when I tried to install some codecs, it said that they were reinstalling, so they must have been already installed. So I just looked up something online there and just followed a guide installing codecs, and that was the result anyway, was reinstalling. So that's still downloading. I don't know what's going on there. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the result of my Arch Linux install. My only concern was that it boots up and everything runs and codecs are installed and I can do my screen recording. I might even try and do kdenlive on here and see how that goes. So I might even try doing that. Now that I'm on Arch, I've got access to all the pacman repositories and the AUR if needed. I only use that if necessary. And if I was to look at pacman capital S and kdenlive just to see what they've got in here, because we're on here 1904, so see, I don't have to use an app image or anything to get to the latest kdenlive. It's already in Arch, so that is a true advantage of running Arch, is you've got access to the latest stuff. So because it's rolling, and once you install it once, that's pretty much it. You can go on forever with your Arch install. So that's an advantage of that as well. You never have to reinstall. So, which makes me wonder how a lot of people have a lot of knowledge on Arch, because if I was to install it once and run it for the next 2-3 years, I'd probably forget everything I did on Sunday. So I've probably forgotten most of it now anyway, if it wasn't for the fact that I wrote it all down as I went. So that's why my install was twice as long, because I was writing my documentation. I was also typing it manually into the terminal. I wasn't copying and pasting anything. Only once I got frustrated to the point where I actually SSH'd, and I never SSH into anything. I learned how to do that very quickly. I SSH'd into my laptop and copied and pasted everything on my main desktop because I was getting annoyed at typing all this stuff in constantly. That was 4 or 5 times on Sunday. That was really getting very annoying. So just to show you a couple of other wallpapers from... It just takes a while for that to come up, that thing there. There's a couple more from Carl Schneider. Let's go there, that's that one there. These ones I think were designed for deep in, but I thought I'd use those. They look pretty cool. Bit of a blur background. And that one there. So they're all pretty cool backgrounds from Carl Schneider. So that was my Arch install, which I thought I would share with everyone, and the trials and tribulations of going through all that, what I would probably call pain and suffering and a lot of fun at the same time. It's hard to explain. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it interesting and informative, and thanks for watching.